After almost 60 years, hundreds of episodes, a cancellation, a bad TV movie, and a subsequent revival, I'm ready to declare that Doctor Who is dead. Finished. For real this time. And I know what you're going to say. There's a slew of specials celebrating the show's 60th anniversary just over the horizon, along with a new Doctor, a new companion, and a new season tentatively slated to air next year. And I'm sorry to say this, I really am, but this show is in the fucking toilet. And I have the autopsy results right here to prove it. But before I do, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more random, snarky videos on whatever contrarian mess I happen to be on that week. This is a video taken at San Diego Comic-Con last month, and it is a 21-minute long highlight reel of the cosplayers. No matter your feelings on SDCC, it is still a major pop cultural event, and cosplay is still a major part of said culture. So I think it's fair to say that what people are willing to spend countless hours and hundreds if not thousands of dollars on in order to dress up as a character from a property does shed insight into where those properties are within the cultural consciousness. I watched this video and what I saw was truly shocking. So much so that I immediately opened up a spreadsheet and started compiling data and running numbers. As you can see, the video consists of a few seconds of one or a group of cosplayers, totaling 423 clips. I've taken those 423 shots and broke them down by property. I did this to the best of my ability because, although I'm fairly knowledgeable on pop culture, I didn't recognize every single one. I also roughly put them into categories, like Marvel, DC, Star Wars, because to be too specific would yield around 400 entries. So, for example, there were 57 people who cosplayed video game characters, which, if I broke them down, would be a handful of Mario, a handful of Sonic, a handful of Zelda, and like 40 other games. Therefore, video game cosplayers are bundled together into the category video games. Now, with this being a Comic-Con, it should come as no surprise that characters from comic books and comic book movies dominated, with the big two publishers, Marvel and DC, combining to account for nearly 30%. It should also come as no surprise that within that subset, Marvel pummels DC by nearly 2-1, with Marvel accounting for almost 19% of all observed cosplays. As mentioned before, by lumping video games into their own field, they account for more than 13% of all cosplays. The other notable fields are about what you'd expect for a comic book convention, with Star Wars fielding 7%, Disney original characters at 6%, and Star Trek at 3%. The remaining 42% are comprised of a mishmash of similarly nerdy interests like Saturday morning cartoons and anime, which I couldn't begin to account for because I'm just not familiar with them. But just what does this info dump of data have to do with Doctor Who, I hear you asking? And the answer is nothing. Because what really stood out to me, what caused me to want to record all of this data, was the amount of people I saw cosplaying Doctor Who, which was 0. That's right, 0. So if this video in any way resembles popular culture, the impact Doctor Who has is somewhere behind Curious George, Guy Fieri, and the Progressive insurance commercials. And this is important because up until a few years ago, it seemed like wherever people were dressing up as fictional characters, they were dressing up as the Doctor. With more than a dozen incarnations, a sharp fashion sense, and numerous classic villains made from practical effects, the show was rife for cosplaying. It was so common that you could go to a convention, find all of the Doctor's incarnations there, and pose them together for a group photo. Even at a Renaissance fair, you were almost certain to find one person who thought it'd be cheeky to dress up as the time-traveling Doctor. But those days are gone, and if the cosplayers attending the epicenter of pop culture are any indication, Doctor Who is dead. Because despite the BBC bringing back the architect of the show's revival, along with the most popular Doctor in the show's history, nobody gives a shit just a few months before its premiere. Now, you may say it's unfair to make such a declaration on the back of one Comic-Con, but this is pretty huge if you look back at where the show was just 10 years ago. In the lead up to the 50th anniversary special, an exclusive trailer premiered at, oh yeah, San Diego Comic-Con. Somehow they managed to keep a lid on it, and with no clips or even a photograph getting out, I fondly remember being one of the many internet sleuths looking for secondhand accounts from people who saw it. That's where Doctor Who was 10 years ago. Now, with the show's 60th anniversary peeking over the horizon, its cultural footprint has been relegated to something almost no one is excited about, no one is hyping, and there damn sure isn't anyone dressing up for it.